half the world will love it, half the world will hate it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's how that works.
So.
Yep.
So good.
Yep. We tried. He's trying to get us bullied. He walked in and he was like, oh. Apparently they only have one cooler working over at IKEA.
Oh, okay.
Set it over here. Ready, Doug?
Oh, I am ready. How about you?
Mike still sits next to you, right?
Yes, Mr. Dieter.
Study it.
Are we here? Or do you want more of this one?
heard you just got to play. Yeah.
It was a couple days ago.
Which
Kind of got my fill. Put that on the list.
We are expecting one more trustee. She is en route, will be here momentarily, but will clearly be here for the board meeting. The search committee will be coming in any minute, so we will wait till gavel until they're in the room. And they're going to be coming in from that door back there, so you might want to just kind of part a little bit. So you're going to gavel.
We've got a short but packed agenda, so I'd like to get started. I'd like to call this meeting to order. So will the secretary please call the roll?
Trustee Byram?
Here.
Trustee Ferguson?
Here.
Trustee Foster? Here. Trustee Kelly?
Here.
Trustee Masalam?
Here.
Trustee Slichting? Here. Trustee Scott? Here. Trustee Tebay?
Here.
We have a quorum.
A motion to approve the agenda would be in order.
So moved.
Support. Second. Yeah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Trustee Byram has a few comments to offer.
Thank you, and good morning. I'd first like to say thank you to Acting President Satish Upta for his willingness to step up and lead MSU during these past 4 months. I know you took this position out of your immense love for MSU. The board will officially thank Acting President Upta at our June meeting. Today's meeting has one item, personnel action. It's been a lengthy process to arrive at the place we are today, and a big thank you goes out to our outstanding search committee and membership. They have been true partners with the board. At this time, I would like to read each of their names individually. I will also like to acknowledge that they are all in attendance except one who is out of the country on a family vacation. The committee members of our Presidential Search Committee were Deborah Bittner, President, Coalition of Labor Organizations at Michigan State University. Hero Dagbovi, University Distinguished Professor of History and Associate Dean, Graduate School. Prabhu David, Dean, College of Communication Arts and Sciences. Mary Finn, Director and Professor, School of Criminal Justice. Thomas Glassmacher, Laboratory Director and Project Director, Facility for Rare Isotope Beams and University Distinguished Professor. Linda Hubbard, President and COO, Carhartt Incorporated. Dan Kelly, Board of Trustees. Leo Kempo, Dean, College of Engineering. Bonnie Knutson, Professor, School of Hospitality Business. Wanda Lipscomb, Associate Professor, Department of Psychiatry, Senior Associate Dean for Diversity and Inclusion, College of Human Medicine. Mark Murray, Past President of Grand Valley State University. David Porteous, Board of Directors of Huntington Bank Shares Incorporated and past MSU Board of Trustees. Catherine Cookie Riffiatis, she's the immediate past president of the Associated Students of Michigan State University, a recent James Madison graduate from Michigan State University. Brianna T. Scott, Board of Trustees. Gregory J. Spray, now Dr. Spray, Department of Communicative Sciences and Disorders, College of Communication Arts and Sciences. And Felicia Wu, John A. Hanna Distinguished Professor of Food Science and Human Nutrition in Agricultural Food and Resource Economics. So in this search for president, our stated goal was that we wanted to identify the best person possible to lead Michigan State University. The CV of our finalists includes a solid academic background, including a BA in Biological Sciences from the University of Chicago, an MD from Harvard University, a postdoctorate fellowship in infectious diseases at Washington University, St. Louis. And this individual has proven experience in higher education. I remember distinctly in those early input sessions where we were meeting with a student group, and they said explicitly, don't get us anybody that needs on-the-job training. And that was the words they used. Additionally, the faculty wanted to make sure that we had someone that had been through the ranks. Presidential website following the board meeting. At this time, I want to recognize Trustee Melanie Foster, co-chair of the search committee.
Thank you, Chair Byram. Today represents a pivotal moment in MSU's 164-year history as we begin what I am confident will be an engaged and exciting future under the leadership of Dr. Samuel L. Stanley, Jr., MD. Dr. Stanley, would you please stand? Dr. Stanley is joined today by his spouse, Dr. Ellen Lee, and three of their children of the four, Dr. Catherine Stanley, Samuel L. Stanley III, and James Stanley. As co-chair of the Presidential Search Committee, it is my honor to move that the Board of Trustees of Michigan State University hereby appoints Samuel L. Stanley, Jr., MD, as the 21st President of Michigan State University, effective August 1st, 2019. Be it further resolved that the chairperson of the Board of Trustees is hereby authorized to execute such documents and agreements as may be necessary or appropriate in connection with the implementation of this action.
Second.
Before we call for a roll call vote, I want to invite to the microphone right over here several members of the search committee to provide comments. From the beginning, the board made it clear that the search process would include representation from a diverse group of stakeholders from our community: students, faculty, staff, deans, and alumni. I would like to invite to come forward and share comments Mary Finn, who is the director and professor in the School of Criminal Justice and is the representative of the Faculty Senate; Wanda Lipscomb, Senior Associate Director for Diversity and Inclusion, College of Human Medicine and Associate Professor of Psychiatry; Catherine Cookie Rifiotis, immediate past president of ASMSU, a 2019 graduate of James Madison College, and the undergraduate student representative on the committee; and Greg Spray, a 2019 doctoral graduate from the College of Communication Arts and Sciences, representing the Council of Graduate Students. If the four of you would please come forward. And comments will be given in the order of Mary, Wanda, Cookie, and Greg.
Good morning. I was asked to reflect on the qualities and characteristics of the candidate relative to the concerns that the faculty of the college, of the university had. So in looking at the credentials as well as having the opportunity to be part of the interview with Dr. Stanley, there are really three key areas that I wanted to comment on. First, as has been spoken to already, he has stellar academic credentials and is a highly accomplished researcher, one of the nation's highest recipients of support from the National Institutes of Health. He understands academia and its values, has spent his entire career in academia as a faculty member, and then assumed very impressive leadership roles, both in areas of research and most recently the presidency of Stony Brook University, an AAU institution. Faculty also identified their desire for the next president to be a person of integrity and to be transparent and collaborative in decision-making. Dr. Stanley has acted in ways that confirm this is how he leads. He has respect for and values the important role of academic governance, having served on the Faculty Senate for several years while at Washington University. Third, Dr. Stanley has been effective in advancing issues of equity, diversity, and inclusion. Under his leadership, opportunities for first-generation and underrepresented minority students to access quality education expanded immensely while he was at Stony Brook. Further, Stony Brook has embraced the He for She movement for gender equity created by the UN Women in United Nations Women in 2014. This is an effort to engage men and boys in removing the social and cultural barriers that prevent women and girls from achieving their full potential. He expressed particular sensitivity to the need for our campus community to heal and to address the betrayal of trust experienced by survivors of sexual assault. Dr. Stanley possesses the experience, the character, and the ability to lead the transformation of MSU. Thank you.
Good morning. I've been invited to share some responses based on the information we received in our many listening sessions that we held. Many of you were probably participants in those sessions. Dr. Samuel Stanley, Jr. is an experienced and highly respected leader in higher education. He has served as president of Stony Brook University for a decade, and prior to that was Vice Chancellor for Research at Washington University in St. Louis. He's demonstrated many of the skills that we deemed important in a president, leadership development skills, fiscal management skills, faculty and student relations, and collegiate athletics. He is a very successful fundraiser, a community collaborator, and a business innovator. He understands the importance of working with government and economic leaders in expanding the reach of the university beyond the state to the globe. As a national recognized leader in emerging infectious diseases, Dr. Stanley, throughout his career, has worked with multidisciplinary teams. He's led an institution with a large academic medical center and understands the importance of building public-private partnerships to improve care and expand research. Beyond that, though, Dr. Stanley loves higher education. He has embraced every aspect of the disciplines provided at Stony Brook, in addition to supporting emerging cutting-edge science and technology. Throughout the listening sessions, we heard that the president should be someone who understands the academy. And as my colleague has shared, he is a stellar academic scholar who respects the role of academic governance. The importance of diversity was also echoed throughout our listening sessions. One could say you can predict the future based on looking at one's past. And for Dr. Stanley, we were able to find evidence of great change at Stony Brook during his tenure. Development and implementation of an institutional diversity strategic plan. The appointment of the first diversity officer for the university. Establishment of an institutional diversity advisory committee. Expansion of support for the Equal Opportunity Program. Support for the academic success of students from disadvantaged backgrounds. Strengthen efforts for women in STEM. The partnership with the He for She Impact. Expansion of support for faculty and graduate student diversity. And recognition of the importance of broadly defined inclusion. I'd like to also note that on a personal level, Dr. Stanley and his wife and his family have supported numerous scholarships for students from disadvantaged backgrounds. So beyond what he's done in his position as president, he has shown us that this is a personal commitment. The listening sessions underscored the need for a leader who will address campus climate and safety, who could hear the voices of survivors. Dr. Stanley has demonstrated recognition of the importance for healing, building trust, and creating a responsive climate. He has been described as one who has the courage to lead, the commitment to listen to better understand, the compassion to address the needs of the vulnerable, and the integrity to honor the values of the institution. This is fully in keeping with the qualities that we outline in the presidential prospectus.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I was asked to speak a little bit about the process and how Dr. Stanley's accomplishments are going to benefit the Michigan State students. I, alongside other 18 committee members, held over 22 campus-wide input sessions, which took place last fall. The community input that came from those sessions served as our touchstone. From them, we composed the university prospectus packet that was handed to each candidate, the qualifications and criteria for our next president, as well as a list of challenges and opportunities at MSU as envisioned by our community. In an attempt to fully represent the student body, I also held over 10 student listening sessions across the colleges in partnership with the ASMSU representatives and deans. These sessions furthered my ability to convey the student voice. Throughout these past months, the members of the search committee truly empowered me to speak up and represent Michigan State students to the fullest. Since last August, We invested countless hours in this search, and at every point in our conversations and every time a new discussion item arose, committee members deferred to Greg and I, ensuring that student needs were prioritized for the search of our new leader. During our process, I was also pleased with the trustees in the search committee. They opted to listening before sharing their perspective, taking a back seat, and allowing the committee's thorough deliberation to unfold without influencing it. But Dr. Stanley now. Dr. Stanley's accomplishment with student success truly impressed me. He worked comprehensively to effectively eradicate the retention and graduation gap across students of different backgrounds. He has a proven record of prioritizing student input and fostering good relationship with student leaders to address pressing needs around the campus community. But most importantly, he truly grasps what it means to foster accountability and work to earn the trust of a community, understanding that integrity and other institutional values must emanate from the top. When he asked to outline his vision for MSU, Dr. Stanley first pointed that he was going to focus on healing that the community needs to undergo. He aims at doing that through listening and by being a present and accessible president. I am confident that Dr. Stanley is the leader we need to heal and to build a better MSU. I look forward for our community to embrace him. Thank you all, and go green.
Hello, and thank you for attending today's board meeting. I feel that the search committee worked collaboratively to advocate for faculty, staff, and students to call MSU their home. Furthermore, the committee used the information gathered during these input sessions to guide our decision-making process. This group of individuals ensured that the voices of students at the undergraduate, graduate, and professional level were heard, along with the voices of survivors. During each meeting, the co-chairs and other members of the Board of Trustees would step back and allow the search committee to engage in dialogue. During these discussions, members of the committee repeatedly focused on what we heard from the students during the input sessions, and we would frequently pause each meeting to reflect on the information sessions to be sure that the voices of all students were being heard from. We had many different conversations. We had brought up the many students who believe that MSU has the ability to change rape culture head-on. There was a male law student who stated that he wanted a president who would live on campus. There was another graduate student who felt that the next president needed to strive to make education accessible to all, regardless of socioeconomic status, ethnicity, and/or race. And then there were also many students who called for a president who would appoint people who looked and came from the same background as them. Finally, the committee consistently reflected on what makes Michigan State University unique. That is family, passion, diversity and ethnicity, race, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, and above all else, the land-grant mission. Dr. Stanley, I believe, will treat all members of the university community, East Lansing, and the state of Michigan with dignity and respect. And I believe that he will help us develop deeper roots for Michigan State University and really further our research profile, as you can see from his extensive CV. Finally, I would like to say that I hope that I represented the Council of Graduate Students and all graduate and professional students to the greatest of my ability, and have inspired a renewed confidence in MSU. The next decade for Michigan State University is critical. However, I believe that Dr. Stanley will be able to ensure the safety of students, engage in collaborative decision-making processes, prioritize the needs of students, all while maintaining our current research profile, and enhancing the status as the Pioneer Land-Grant College. Thank you.
I want to thank again, the search committee, and specifically the 4 members of the search committee that shared comments. At this point, I'll turn the agenda back over to Dr. Upta.
There's a motion on the floor, and will the secretary please call the roll?
Trustee Byram?
Yes.
Trustee Ferguson?
and I look forward to engaging the board, shared governance, and the entire campus in this endeavor. These are just a few of my initial impressions, and there's so much, much more I need to learn about MSU. But I'm so excited about the trajectory you're on, and I look forward to be a part of that journey. At the same time, I also see a Spartan community that has had a turbulent and difficult time, a community in need of healing. Like Dr. Ubta and the board, I want to meet with the survivors and their families, listen to their voices and their thoughts, and learn from them. And I want to work with them and all of the campus community to ensure that changes that need to be made are implemented. What happened at MSU will not be forgotten. Instead, it will drive us every day to work together to build a campus culture of transparency, awareness, sensitivity, respect, and prevention, a safe campus for all. This is going to be key to all of our initiatives. Before closing, I wanted to especially thank the students of the Associated Students of MSU for their letter to the incoming president. It was full of wisdom, but I was particularly took to heart their reminder that, quote, while you will be leading the Spartan community, you will not be independent of it. We hope you will become an integral community member, unquote. That will become one of my goals, and I will further it by living on campus and by making every effort to be visible to my fellow Spartans. Again, my sincere thanks to the board and the Presidential Search Committee for their confidence, and I look forward to working hand in hand with you, with MSU's distinguished faculty and staff, with the amazing undergraduate and graduate students, with the citizens and elected officials of the great state of Michigan, and with more than 550,000 proud MSU alumni who bleed green and white, as together we write the next great chapter in Michigan State University's storied history. Go green.
All right.
Thank you. Following the conclusion of the board meeting, we will recess for about 10-15 minutes, and then we'll hold a press conference. Satish?
A motion to adjourn the meeting would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.
Couldn't have gone any smoother, Satish. You guys are going to be closer to me because you're going to have your speaking, and then the search committee will be. So Thomas, people have to get back to you and go that way. Yeah, so they keep going. I think it's a mobile box or something.
The big yellow wax.
So, I need you to tell us if we're spaced properly.
Somewhere on the side.
And let's kind of move in so that we're a little closer here together.
Now that we know each other.
Yeah, we know each other very well. We're all family. Come on a little closer. Okay. All right. Ready? Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I want to give a warm Spartan welcome to the newest members of our MSU family. President-designee, Dr. Samuel L. Stanley, Jr., his wife, Dr. Ellen Lee, who is a distinguished biomedical researcher in her own right. Dr. Lee? She's back here. And the Stanley children, Jim, Catherine, and Sam. It was May 2018 when the board announced that the presidential search and designated Trustee Foster and myself as co-chairs. The search committee was formed in August, and a national search firm was hired in September. Our stated goal was to find the best possible person to lead Michigan State University as our next president. And I stand here today saying, goal accomplished. Dr. Stanley has received the unanimous support of the Board of Trustees and additionally has the full support of the search committee. This is the first open search Michigan State University has conducted for president in over 20 years. And I credit the success to the hard work of our search committee in partnership with the Board of Trustees, along with everyone's commitment to always put the interests of the university first and foremost. I personally want to thank each member of the search committee for your service. So thank you. They're all joined here today. At our board meeting, I read each individual name so that we could thank them, but their service, they were 100% in, and every step of the way for the full amount of time, and that's greatly appreciated. I would now like to introduce the co-chair of the presidential search and my colleague, Trustee Melanie Foster.
Thank you, Chair Byram. It's an honor to be here this afternoon. I guess it's still morning. As you know, we conducted 22 input sessions on campus, and there was a member of the search committee at every single one of those input sessions, and there was a few that were at every single one of those input sessions. So they did yeoman's work. I will tell you that we also took input online, and we all received notebooks about that thick with the feedback, which we read. So we were very serious in this process. I'd also like to thank Dr. Teresa Sullivan, who couldn't be with us today, MSU proud alum and immediate past president of the University of Virginia, who helped us through this entire process as well. And our committee was representative of the broader Michigan State University campus community. It was diverse, with 10 women and 8 men, and 5 persons of color that represented students, faculty, staff, deans, and alumni. The search committee has joined us here today, and again, I'd like to say a special thank you to all of you. We've become such great friends during this process. It's really the family of MSU. And now I'd like to invite to the podium 3 of the members of the search committee to share their personal comments with you. In the order that they'll be speaking, first will be Dr. Felicia Wu, who is a John A. Hanna Distinguished Professor in Food Safety, Toxicology, and Risk Management. Dr. Perot Dagbovi, University Distinguished Professor of History and Associate Dean of the Graduate School. And Thomas Glassmacher, University Distinguished Professor and Director of the Facility for Royer Isotope Beams. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Melanie. Good morning. It's my pleasure to have the chance to speak with you and an honor to have served as a member of the MSU Presidential Search Committee. Now, when Diane and Melanie first asked me to join this search committee 9 months ago, I will admit I had apprehensions about serving on a 19-member committee, both because of the sheer size and also because of the scope of the responsibility to you, our community, to find the best possible new leader for MSU. Looking back today, 9 months later, I can say throughout the process, we got along amazingly well. We, at all times, blended professionalism with collegiality. We're grateful especially for the leadership of Diane Byram and Melanie Foster in making this such a smooth and worthwhile experience. As I had told Diane earlier, the sign of a group that really gets along is if you spent 3 intense days together, conducting interviews, conducting meetings, morning to night, and at the end of it, again, on a long bus drive back, we still feel a little bit sad to leave each other. Somebody was just joking that we should rent that bus again and just drive around the lake together. I've gained new colleagues and friendships that are likely to last for a very long time. And importantly, we share the confidence that we've found MSU in our community the best possible person to fill the role of MSU president. We were intrigued upon first reading Dr. Samuel Stanley's application and then delighted to finally meet him in person. Dr. Stanley perfectly fits the profile of the individual to be leading MSU now. Experienced in university leadership, caring and sensitive to the needs of our healing community. actively committed to promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion, including of those of different socioeconomic backgrounds, and himself having an outstanding academic background. Dr. Stanley is a renowned expert in immunology and infectious diseases, and one of the nation's highest recipients of support from the National Institutes of Health, or the NIH, for his research on enhancing defense against emerging infectious diseases. He's also shown his dedication to students in the United States and worldwide. He has led National Science Foundation projects to better prepare them for pathways to study STEM, that is, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And relevant to recent concerns within our community, Dr. Stanley was one of only 10 university leaders chosen around the world in 2016 to be selected as a UN Women He for She champion. He for She is a solidarity campaign for gender equality all across the world. We're very fortunate to have Dr. Stanley joining us now at MSU to lead us ever higher as an academic institution. And it has been my pleasure, truly, to serve you on the Presidential Search Committee. Personally, I'm so happy with how it has turned out, our extraordinary new president, and the joy of serving with these amazing people. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm going to make my remarks brief because I believe that most of the stuff that I would share with you has already been said by my esteemed colleagues. It has been a great pleasure and honor to serve on the Michigan State University Presidential Search Committee. Beginning early on in the process, it became clear to me that we, members of this committee, recognized the monumental nature of this search and viewed ourselves above all else as being representatives of the broader Michigan State University community. I believe that we listened intently, learned much from each other, the search process and our fellow Spartans, reached consensus, and gave vital assistance to members of the Board of Trustees. The candid feedback that the Michigan State University Presidential Search Committee received at the campus community input sessions and from numerous other members of the MSU community advised us and recommended to us that, among other values, the next president of Michigan State University should advance a culture of empathy, inclusiveness, healing, engagement, academic excellence, care, accountability, integrity, and transparency. A highly accomplished scholar and experienced administrator, Dr. Stanley has demonstrated a commitment to the aforementioned principles. Humble in his demeanor, he has a strong record of striving for excellence in higher education and supporting students, faculty, staff from various backgrounds. Though the final decision to elect the president rested in the hands of the Board of Trustees, I believe that the search committee did its job and was listened to by the board in making this wonderful decision. Thank you very much.
Good morning. When I was asked to join the search committee, I wasn't quite sure how this would work out. But I was impressed throughout the process. We handled each other with care and integrity, and we listened to the MSU community. The 22 listening sessions were paramount. And when we were in doubt about things, we would go back to the things we have heard. And I believe when we met Dr. Stanley and we reviewed his application, we found the person MSU needs at this point in time. An empathetic leader who said he would put the students first, who would help us in a transformational process to continue the healing and to change the culture so that the normative behaviors we have on campus will forever change. So I'm so delighted that we found him, and I really enjoyed working with all of you. Thank you. Diane will join us again.
You've heard the direct comments from members of the search committee, and they echo the comments that you heard at the board meeting where we had 4 individuals speak. So I'm not going to elaborate on the credentials of Dr. Stanley. I would only add that on top of the stellar record, the experience, the background, he's a genuine, nice person. And so on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the Search Committee, it is my distinct honor to introduce to you the 21st President Designee of Michigan State University, Dr. Samuel L. Stanley, Jr.
Thank you so much, Trustee Byram. And again, I cannot express how much I appreciate the confidence in the Board of Trustees has placed in me, and how much I appreciate the work of the Presidential Search Committee. I wanted to say one thing about them, and that is, and you've heard it today, I think they so ably represented this community, the Spartan community. The questions during the process were thorough, comprehensive, and incredibly informed. And they really did reach back to their constituencies to reflect the concerns that they had about the selection of a president. And they also, at the same time, were extraordinarily advocates for Michigan State University as well. One of the things I found most desirable about coming here was meeting faculty, students, and staff, and seeing how much they love this institution and how much they care about it and how much they want it to succeed. And so that really was important to me. I want to come to a place where we can work together, where we can make a difference. And I'm very excited about the possibilities of doing so. I did want to thank my family again. They've been introduced multiple times, so I won't do it, but they're incredible. But one of them is missing. So my daughter, Susan Stanley, MD, PhD, Dr. Susan Stanley, who's working at Mass General Hospital in Boston, was not able to get away. But Susan, if you're watching or record this later, sorry you couldn't be here, but we're having a great time without you. But we really look forward to seeing you as soon as possible. She works very hard. I also wanted to say something about Stony Brook University, and I did want to mention so much how remarkable it's been for me to have the opportunity to lead Stony Brook University over the past 10 years. As been said, they gave me my first opportunity to lead an AAU school. That's an extraordinary privilege and honor to have the opportunity to do that, and I'm really pleased with all the work we did together, and I'm very grateful for them again for giving me that opportunity, for everything we were able to do. After 10 years, I think we accomplished many of the goals that I set when we came, and I'm so excited about the opportunity now to come to Michigan State University, this extraordinary university, which I said before, which has the scope and scale and impact to really change the world. It means so much to me to be able to work with you to move it forward. I know there are challenges ahead. I'm very aware of those, but I'm very confident that we're going to face it together. I'm going to be on campus soon. It's only a couple of months. Please be patient. It's only a couple of months. I'm going to be there. And I look forward to really meeting everyone I can, to listening and learning. As I said before, I want to become, as the students suggest, an integral part of the campus community. I want to work for change as part of you and working with you. And that includes all of the constituents in this room and those, our alumni, our amazing 550,000 plus alumni who really, as I said before, are so devoted to this institution. I've had a chance to talk to some of them already. Some of them, of course, many of them are on the Board of Trustees. But again, that passion they have for Michigan State University really shines through, and it's a privilege to be a part of that. So I'm not going to say too much more. Again, I'm really excited about this opportunity. I look forward to answering your questions that you may have. But know this, I'm committed to being a great listener. I'm committed to learning from you. I take this role very humbly. You've said amazing things about me, and I really appreciate it. But I have a lot to live up to. But I will do my best. I would do my best to be the president that Michigan State needs to move forward. And I wish for all of your help, and please help me succeed in doing that. Thank you.
So thank you again, and welcome to our Spartan family. President Designee Dr. Stanley officially begins August 1. At this point, we will open it up for questions, and Emily Granat will be identifying members of the press and then presenting the question to Dr. Stanley and myself.
You can raise your hand on and also identify yourself, because he's going to have to start learning our Michigan media training. So we'll start with
My name is Lindsay Nicole. How closely did you watch the national scandal unfold, and what was your main takeaway as someone who now leads?
So I certainly followed it, not probably to the depth and degree, obviously, from those who are living it and experiencing it, but I certainly followed it. And what I saw was a terrible tragedy taking place. Really what, to me, and particularly as a physician, was a gross and incomprehensible betrayal of trust that took place and the consequences of that kind of betrayal of trust. Again, as a physician, we really rely on people to believe in us. And as an academic leader, we rely on people to believe in us. And when that trust is violated, the damage is terrible, as we've seen. So I look forward, again, to learning more about it. Since I was at a distance, I need to be immersed more in it. I look forward to meeting with the survivors and their families to understand how do they believe we're doing, how is the university progressing. I know there's been a number of important steps taken by the university to help improve its policies and procedures, to help to work towards changing culture, because that's really what's necessary, is changing culture. It's not just about fixing our procedures. That's incredibly important. We want to create a culture, rather we want to create an infrastructure where people can report, where they're comfortable reporting, where they believe that things will be acted on after they report. But we also have to have a culture that's preventing this kind of thing from happening. And what are we doing to do that on campus? So I need to learn. Again, these first few months are going to be important for me to learn about it. But that's really what I've seen. At the same time, Michigan State continues to do great work. You've graduated another amazing class. Your research continues and grows. So what's reassuring to me is we are able to do work, but this fundamentally needs to be fixed, and I'm committed to working to do that. But it's definitely, the one thing I want to say, it's not just me. I don't have the ability to change the culture at Michigan State University by myself. It really requires all of us working together, which is, again, why I'm so inspired by the search committee and the work they did together. All the constituents coming together for a common goal. We need to harness that kind of energy as Spartans when we work together moving forward. Thank you.
This is a question for you and also perhaps for Chairperson Meyer. You're the first president of this university in about 35 years to not have any previous ties to the university. How important was that for you, and I guess how important was that for the committee to go after somebody who maybe wasn't here for all of the kind of negative aspects of the last year?
Well, the parameters that the search committee set from the very beginning, that we were going to look at both traditional, non-traditional, internal and external candidates. It was very clear from the input sessions that the university community wanted an external candidate. So we really focused more on external candidates. But that came right out of the input session. So that was one of the factors that we considered and gave great amount of time and attention to.
Good.
Dr. Stanley. Hello. My name is Kim Slausman, a reporter at the Detroit News. The culture change that you referenced earlier, I know you said it was important, but the Spartan community and beyond have said that is going to be one of your most top priorities coming in, though there are going to be a lot of other priorities. Could you talk a little bit about what kind of steps you think need to happen to do something like culture change? It's sort of a vague thing to do. What are your thoughts on concrete things you might do to change the culture here at Michigan State University?
So it's going to be hard for me to obviously be completely specific because, again, I really need to understand the landscape better before I talk about specific measures. But let me talk a little bit about kind of the approach. First, I think it does begin with my leadership. The leadership has to be someone that is accountable, has to be someone that's responsible. So that's very important, that people feel as though the administration is held accountable for actions and is responsible for its actions. And then something we've talked about before, again, will be earning trust of the community. And that comes by aligning my words with my actions, that when I say the university is going to move in a direction, we move in that direction. When I say we will implement programs in a particular area, we implement those programs. And we say we're making a commitment to a safe campus, we document the things we're doing to put together that safe campus. And I really believe that the campus culture changes in terms of both the things I've talked about in safety, but also in diversity, inclusion, and equity as well. I think those things are tied together in terms of when one thinks about respect, when one thinks about respecting other people in the community and supporting them in their efforts. So I think that's very important. I think there are always pockets of the university where there's higher possibilities for risk, and those are areas, for example, where there may be a very tight-knit group of individuals who may not want to work centrally to try and improve culture, may not report, believe they can solve things. And one of the things I've worked very hard on at Stony Brook University is making sure that everyone on campus, through educational process, understands their responsibility in working to prevent sexual violence and relationship violence and sexual abuse on campus. That's incredibly important to make sure people understand, faculty, staff, and students understand what their responsibilities are. We need to develop what I would call upstander programs, not bystander programs, but upstander programs, where students, faculty, and staff feel that they can get engaged and help students who they seem to be having difficulty. All these things are part, I think, of changing the culture, but again, it has to come from the top in terms of what I emphasize, what's important to me, where we're putting our resources, and again, how we're getting people engaged to help. I don't have all the answers to this problem, and I'm going to have to learn a lot from the community to get some of the information that all of us need to move it forward. But I think it is a fundamental part of what we're going to be doing here. And again, listening and learning is a critical part of it.
Dr. Stanley in the back here, Steve D'Amigiola from WWW in Detroit. You're coming from a very successful university, a very successful position, running like a smooth machine. Was there a little voice at any time during the process that said, why would I want to step into that
Well, what a good question. I think, as I said a little earlier, I've had or I may have said in an earlier interview, I apologize. It's been an incredible run at Stony Brook University. When I came, they had a number of challenges that needed to be faced. Issues around how their health care enterprise ran, issues around their sponsored research, which had been flagging, essentially, and some of these same issues around diversity, equity, and inclusion, which I didn't think had been adequately addressed. And fundraising, for example, there was a very significant problem. So started to work and worked with the team that was there, as well as assembled new people to solve those problems. And I think 10 years in now, we've really accomplished that, and many of these things have been improved greatly. And I think the university is in a much better position than it was before. And I don't take that on me. That's the team I assembled, the work of the faculty and staff, the students at Stony Brook, who bought into our vision for excellence, our commitment to excellence, and really wanted to move it forward. So that's been very rewarding. But I think now, after 10 years, Stony Brook actually would benefit from new leadership. I think new vision, sometimes a new set of eyes, a new set of approaches, can really benefit a school. I think I've taken Stony Brook to a great place, but I did feel it was time for someone else to do it. So then I began to think about, and something I thought about more than a year and a half or 2 years ago, was what would I like to do next? What kind of challenge would I like to take forward? And as I said before, Michigan State University is an extraordinary institution. I can't tell you how excited I am. It's different from Stony Brook and same as Stony Brook in many ways. Where is it different? Scope and scale is larger than Stony Brook. There's a number of aspects, schools you have, a law school, the communications school, and of course the incredible ag mission that I don't have at Stony Brook. It's exciting for me to learn about that. I'm excited about learning about it. I'm excited about learning how important Michigan State is to the state of Michigan. And I'm excited about working with elected officials and others so we can do the land-grant mission. As the Pioneer Land-Grant University, we can do the land-grant mission. And that is putting the public university at the service of the people. And that gets to access, something that matters to me a lot. That gets to student success, something that matters to me a lot. So I think the opportunity to do many of the things I've been doing, but do it in a very different environment, but one that also has extraordinary opportunity and potential. So I couldn't be more excited about it, and it really was not a difficult decision, particularly once I got to know some of the people of MSU, and that really, as I said before, really swayed me. Meeting the search committee members, meeting the board of trustees, I really got a feeling, I hope, and again, I'm still, haven't even started yet, but I think I really got a feeling for the passion that people have for this university and how much they care about it, and that matters a lot to me. I want to do work that matters and have impact. I find being a university president gives you an absolutely wonderful opportunity to do this. And the chance to lead two great AAU universities is something that very few people get. So I consider myself very lucky, and I'm very excited about doing this job. Thank you.
Yeah. Carol Thompson, Lansing State Journal. The Michigan Attorney General has an open investigation into the university related to Larry Nassar, and has said that the university is blocking that investigation, taking some steps to prevent what they can see. Have you been briefed on that, and will you take any steps to change it?
So I've not been briefed on that, and again, I might ask Diane or others to talk about that. So perhaps.
Yeah, and the board has been very clear that we are not waiving privilege. So that is not something that, that has been the board position. Dr. Stanley is coming in, and this is a new chapter in the history of Michigan State University. You don't have to answer that.
I have no, yeah, exactly. I think when I'm president of Michigan State University, I represent all the constituents of Michigan State University, and whatever their political parties are, whatever their associations are, I'm representing them. And so what I think or matter is a matter for my own personal beliefs, but what I will do is make sure that I'm listening to everybody on campus, that I'm representing them, but I will not have any partisan political things. And I think if you look at my record over 10 years at Stony Brook University, that certainly has been the case. I've worked with Republicans, worked with Democrats, and I've really stayed away. Maybe that's why it lasted 10 years, but I've really stayed away from making any political statements of any kind.
And Tim, that was not one of the questions the search committee asked any candidate.
Tyler Silvestri from On the Banks. I'm curious, on campus, it's been sort of a controversial subject, the closed nature of the search, in as much as multiple finalists were identified. And the rationale for it has been that the closed search was necessary to attract high-quality candidates. If it had been more open, if multiple finalists were identified, would you personally have applied?
I think it's hard for me to deal with a hypothetical, obviously. I mean, this was the search I was part of and what I engaged with, and clearly I was willing to engage in this particular search, and that's important. And I think for a sitting president, it's important to have that opportunity.
And I would just add that even though this was a confidential search, it was very open and inclusive in the process, and you heard that through the words of the search committee members today. And I think the outcome speaks volumes because we had a successful search, and we indeed did hire the best person to lead Michigan State University.
Athletics, obviously, is one thing that is different. You grew the budget probably threefold in some ways. I guess, what is your vision and scope for athletics within the structure of the university, and how much do you know about Michigan State athletics as a result around the community and what it means?
Sure. So first of all, of course, everybody knows Michigan State athletics. So the Spartans are known around the world. And one of the things that was very exciting for my wife, who's actually a huge basketball fan. You might not necessarily recognize that from looking at her, but she is a huge basketball fan, and her excitement about becoming part of Spartan athletics and Spartan basketball was really palpable. I think college athletics are incredibly important, and I think for Michigan State, athletics really are a portal by which the world sees you. So it really is a way to build name recognition, and I think that allows you to do a number of other things. So I think athletics does that. It helps cement your relationship with your alumni. It helps make you an integral part of the community. It really builds a kind of a partnership, if you will, and something that everybody can talk about. It really cuts across socioeconomic areas. It cuts across everything. People will follow the Spartans and be loyal to the Spartans, and really all those things vanish away. I think it's important that we think about student athletes when we think about athletics. So for me, when I was on the NCAA Board of Directors and Board of Governors, and when I've had the opportunity to lead Stony Brook University, one of the things I focused on, I led the America East Conference. You may not know what that is, but I won't even say, but I led the America East Conference, which is actually an outstanding conference with a great commissioner, but had the chance to chair that conference for a number of years. And there my focus was really on student athletes. So the athletics is incredibly important. It means a lot to the university, but the student athletes are incredibly important. And what I came to experience from having done those things was a tremendous set of respect for student athletes. How they learn to manage time, how they develop leadership potential, and the difference they can make to a community. They really are leaders on campus. So I see these very positive things about athletics. I also see some of the challenges, and I'm aware, obviously, of some of the things that have been in public and so on. So, but I think in general, I'm very bullish on what's going to be done, and I look forward again to working with our athletics director, and again, understanding from the community what people's thoughts are about athletics. Yeah.
Was that role with the NCAA Board of Directors a vital piece of this? No, you have no Power 5 experience, but obviously you've been at the highest level in the NCAA government.
I will say it was a piece, but it wasn't at the top of our list of qualities and characteristics. We didn't seek a presidential candidate that had a stellar record in athletics. In my mind, it was a bonus because he did had the experience of being on the NCAA Board of Directors and Governors. But it was really the student wellness piece that resonated most with the search committee. So,
Yes, I'm Shane from WXYZ in Detroit. How soon will we be sitting down with victims of Larry Nassar and actually being able to interact with them as you come to bring stability to the university?
Well, first of all, I really admired the courage of the survivors and those who came forward, and how difficult, I can't imagine, honestly, how difficult that must be. I want to do that as soon as we reasonably can. It's going to be one of my top priorities when I get to campus. I want to do it as the president of Michigan State University. I think that's important. But I'm really looking forward to hearing their stories, their thoughts, and understanding how I can help and how the university can help, and what are the steps we may need to take, things that may not have been implemented yet that might make a difference. So that's going to be a very high priority for me coming forward.
Last question,
Daniel Miles Thomas from the Detroit News. How many finalists were there for the job? How many of those finalists are Dr. Stanley Michigan?
we've said in terms of the search process that we're not going to be giving names and specifics, but the pool of candidates that we looked at all were external.
Doesn't the process, it seems, nothing about Dr. Stanley, but the culture of secrecy has caused a crisis at Michigan State. And I think the criticism from a lot of people is about the process. Wouldn't it have just been good to be transparent about what's happening in the moving forward?
This will be the final question, but I will answer the question. As we set out from the very beginning, we were very transparent about the process we were going to follow. The Board of Trustees very early on decided that first we were going to hire Dr. Terry Sullivan as an outside advisor to make sure we were looking at best practices. Then we were also going to impanel a search committee that was representative and diverse of the campus community, and they would be full partners. We did that. And through that process, the 22-plus input sessions, we took the input from the community. We included that in the presidential prospectus, which we published. We established a presidential website, which we kept full of timely information. And then the interview process by which we evaluate all candidates came directly from the input sessions. That's why you can stand here today with a unanimous board vote and the unanimous support of the Presidential Search Committee. That's monumental for this university. At this point in time, that I think it is significant, and it bodes well for a very successful presidency. So with that, I know it's been a holiday weekend. We tried to share as much information to get you prepared for 10 o'clock this morning. Thank you for your time.
Why don't you invite the Blanchards back to meet them, don't you think?
Jim and Jana.
Jim?